Hello, BookTube, YouTube, whoever you are. If you're even watching this, I don't even know if you're watching this. I don't know. All I know is it's 35 minutes past 2. And I have a lesson at 10. But I promised myself that this week my goal was to post on Tuesday and Friday. And it got late today. I had class, then I had groceries, which was a nightmare, but there we go. Then I went to the first meeting of my uni of the disabled students group. Then I did booked my coach and my parents to go home in a few weeks. I booked that online. Went into my flat kitchen, and I don't normally socialise there, but I was there for a while, and then I had food, and then I tried to get a bit of my reading done because I hadn't done an awful lot, which is not good. I only managed to do one chapter of one book, and then managed to squeeze one in tonight. But my compromise was I would film this video tonight, but I would post it tomorrow. But at least the content was filmed on Tuesday. At least I could post it tomorrow, knowing that I had it planned. Whereas if I hadn't done it now, I could have had a problem later. But anyway, this video is it's a bit of an unusual one. This is things that I don't do as a reader. Very unusually for me, I actually had all my videos planned out. I've got a short list of 2 or 3 upcoming videos, which I don't normally have. Normally I'm sort of struggling to think of what the next video should be. But I've got a bit of a schedule going on here. So Friday you'll have my reading wrap up, because I'm not doing much on Friday. So you'll have my reading wrap up to have. So that's going to be good. I've managed a few books in January this month. I'm still kind of trying to finish off a series I hadn't finished. But, more to that on Friday. And this video, I wanted to focus on things that I don't do as a reader. Because everyone's got their own kind of preferences. Everyone's got the things that they read, the genres they prefer, the kind of things that they would rather do, the sort of books they would read. And then I do as well, but there's quite a lot of things that I see other booktubers talking about that I'm like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't read that. So, no particular order, I don't read short story collections. I don't really like short stories. I might read an anthology. I've read one anthology, which was Meets Cute, which had things from quite a lot of really good authors in young adult genre, quite a lot of LGBT representation, quite a lot of, there was a little bit of, kind of multicultural representation as well, there's one story I think about an African girl choosing a prom dress, which was quite powerful because, I guess if everyone's going for a certain theme and you feel your culture doesn't really let you do a certain thing because of the way you look or the way you feel, that was quite a good one. It was a good anthology, but mostly I don't read short stories because I don't want to read random short stories. I'd rather have a full book, one story, rather than flickering around thinking, wait, who am I with now? I just got used to this character. I don't know, I'm not saying never say never, but if someone says, oh, here's a short story collection by one author, and they're all short stories based on something, I don't really do it. I might read one short story or a novella. I would read novellas, but I wouldn't really read a short story. I wouldn't read anything probably under 150 pages, maybe 100 pushing it, but I wouldn't read anything less. I like to have a longer story that I can grow to love characters and grow to feel something for the things going on. Short stories are nice, but they're just, unless they're anthologies with different takes on certain things, But no, I don't really read short stories. Don't really have an interest for it. I don't read manga or comics or graphic novels because I don't really know what graphic novels really are. Like, I know what they are, but I know they're sort of visual things. But yeah, I don't really read those because of my visual impairment, because of my blindness. I can't read comics, I can't read manga comic unless I don't know how that would work. I might investigate how other blind readers, which I don't know a huge amount, they read by touch using kind of iBooks and using a kind of braille laptop like the one I have here. Yeah, I don't know how other blind people could access it. I might investigate it. I don't want to pay for one and then can't read it. But I don't read them because, to my knowledge, they're not accessible. Okay, I don't read classics. And I know that's a big thing because everyone's like, classics, they're the history behind the books. They're the things that build, they're the things that build the books you have now. If it wasn't for classics and going way back past and, having them build up structures and the evolving of language, I don't know, I just don't read them. I like to read things. I like historical fiction. It's not my favourite genre, but I like historical fiction quite a lot. I've recently just read When the Crawdad Sings, which is also on my channel. But I just don't really feel connected to the classics. I just don't really. I get why they're there, and they're very famous books, and some of them, I don't know, a lot of Dickens or perhaps Shakespeare I've experienced and I think are interesting. But I just don't like reading through the older language, and I don't like that, obviously, because of the time, there was no representation, and I care a lot about books with representation as part of someone with a disability, as someone part of the LGBT community. For me, it matters about representation. And obviously, you have to look at classics as these books are from a certain time, and that time did not allow for those things. And of course, often there's not representation in historical novels. I just don't really like the language of trying to read through older language. I tried to read Wuthering Heights purely because one of my friends was really interested in it, so I tried reading it with her, and I'd rather read a retelling. Not against the storylines. I think Jane Eyre is interesting. I think I heard something about the Stargate or something about the Jane Eyre's Mr. Rochester's mad wife, which fascinated me. I like Anna Karenina from the Russian kind of novel. I do like and appreciate older books. I just don't particularly want to read the actual version. I'd rather read a retelling and maybe kind of read a synopsis of the actual book and compare notes or something. I don't read Stephen King. And I know that's kind of, I don't know, a lot of people read Stephen King. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, King is a classic horror writer and sci-fi. And I know he is, but I just have no interest in him for some reason. I've looked up his blurbs of his books. I have never seen his films, but I know about them. I just never had much of an interest for it. He's just never grabbed me. I know he probably is brilliant, like everyone says he is, but yeah, I just never really just never really gravitated towards his books. So I just don't really read him, you know. I don't read non-fiction. I think the reason for that is because reading for me is my escape. I mean, I do like to learn. I love history. I love languages. And I will Google and research and read articles or, you know, watch videos or read kind of things around history and geography and culture. But I just don't like to read it in my book time. My reading time. For me, I have mental health issues, even when I didn't, or even when I'm not so bad. Reading for me is my escape, and a lot of people think that. But I don't feel I'm escaping by reading non-fiction. Equally, I don't read autobiographies or biographies or memoirs because you're hearing a real person's thoughts. A real person who probably is still alive, or if they're not, you know, it's somebody else, someone else's real life. And okay, you can read a fiction novel and many people have the same lifestyle or the same life as someone, you know, those events that happen in fiction books are real or really do happen in life. But I just don't want to read it from a real person's perspective. I think that's everything I had on my list, really, of things that I don't read. I don't read children's novels. I read a middle grade novel recently and I enjoyed it. But I don't really like books for kids as such. I might find one day, but if people are recommending it to me, I might go or try. I don't read books that are part of huge series. Don't get me wrong, I have authors that I really like and authors I want to see again, and books, you know, authors that I feel have got brilliant skills, and books which, you know, they've got massive series, they've got so well developed characters. That's great, but I don't want to read 16 books about those characters. You know, sometimes I can't fit in more than a few books a month if I'm busy, really busy, or going through some stuff in life. So 16 books could be, I mean, definitely not a year's worth, no, but it could well be a big chunk of my time. I tend not to read books from book series with over 4 books, 5 books normally. I might read something if there was like something in Harry Potter, 7 books. There might be things. There are things there's one series I think I want to read. Oh, that's it. I need to reread. I haven't read it for years. The Mortal Instruments series, and that has 7 books. Is it 7 or is it 5? I keep thinking it's 7. Can't remember. But yeah, those are the things really that I don't read. I wanted to put some honourable mentions in here of things that I do want to read more of. That wasn't I was thinking of doing that as a separate video, but I'm thinking actually I might just do it together because I'm not really a huge planner of my videos. I know what I want to do. I've got lots of ideas, but I thought I might merge these two together. So a few honourable mentions of things that I want to read more of. I want to read more mythology retellings or mythology-based books like the story of Persephone or Orpheus or that kind of thing, Circe, or yeah, I want to read more of those kind of things, the gods. I want to read more fairy tale retellings because I love those kind of things. I love fairy tales. I love dark, twisted fairy tales. I would love to read some more retellings. I haven't really read any. Trying to think, have I read retellings before? Caravel feels like retellings, but not really, no. I think I might have read like 1 or 2, which is loosely based off of fairy tale kind of things, but I haven't read many retellings. I want to read more kind of girly chick flick, kind of like girly books. light, fluffy romances, maybe. I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately, and I love fantasy, but I need to take a break at some point, and I feel I got stuck in a fantasy kind of bubble and haven't been able to come out of it recently. I want to read more standalones. I've been finishing off some series, but I haven't had the chance to read many standalones. I'm reading one right now, but I want to read more of them. I want to read more series that I always wanted to read. Like, I have never read a Sarah J. Maas book. I have never read a Leigh Bardugo book. I have never read the Lunar Chronicles, and those are also fairy tale retellings. So bingo, 2 in 1. So those are kind of honourable mentions of things I want to read more of. I want to read more books around culture and books based in other countries, based on characters, even if they're fantasy representations, like Children of Blood and Bone is basically meant to be in some kind of mythical version of West Africa, Nigeria, those kind of places. I'd love to read more books inspired by, Asian mythology or European kind of Greek, Roman. I don't know, I'd like to read more, I'd like to read more books based in schools. I find I really like Harry Potter and kind of books where there's or even Hunger Games type books where it's a group of kids kind of training together, working together, pitching against each other, loyalties, kind of enemies, that kind of thing. Nevernight as well, I'm reading that series, and the training they have there for the assassins is really good. So I want to read more books based in schools or academies or college, for college age romances, not even in fantasy, just students, university, and they're doing certain things, new adult kind of things. I want to read more books made in castles, like the Selection series, kind of glittering parties and bit of romance and kind of conniving people and courts and enemies and kind of alliances, and rather than all fighting and battle, blah, which is really good as well, but also I want to read more of the kind of slower, kind of paced court, castle kind of stuff. So those are my kind of do's and don'ts in reading, my wishes and the things I don't want to read, because people won't find non-fiction or won't find certain things on my book channel. So, I just kind of wanted to put that out there and sort of discuss it a bit more. So thank you so much for watching, and sorry for me rambling as usual, and hope to see you next time, on Friday.